join me for the start of my 2 month shred to Cape Verde. So I'll be doing a 2 month cut leading up to my holiday in 2 months' time. So that gives me a couple months to sort of lean out a bit more. I'm already quite lean anyway, so it's just getting that sort of finer details ready for it. So I'll just be going through with you now what like my diet consists of really, and just sort of my workout split leading up to it, in case any of you are sort of looking to cut a bit of weight. So the kind of training plans I've always based my training around is a push-pull leg split, which I think is probably the best split for anyone who's natural, as you're hitting various body parts in the same session. So on Monday, I'm doing chest, shoulders, and triceps. Tuesday, I'm doing legs. Wednesday, I'm resting. Thursday, I'm doing back and biceps. And Friday, I just use that day to do abs and a muscle group which I want to be stronger in. So currently, I'm training chest twice a week. So this is my current plan I'm showing you. So on Monday, we do an incline bench to hit the upper chest, and then we go into a shoulder press using dumbbells. I like starting off with these two exercises because they also work your stability muscles. So there's no fixed movement pushing it from A to B. So you have to also incorporate balance in the weight whilst pushing it and controlling it on the way down. So from the incline bench, you're already hitting your front delts, your chest, your upper chest, and your triceps. And with the dumbbell shoulder press, you're working all of your shoulder and your triceps. From there, we go into the flat press, which works your middle chest, or if you don't have any machine that does that, you can go into a bench press. So now we've hit the upper chest mainly with the incline, and we've hit the middle chest with the flat press. And from there, we go into a lateral raise drop set, which I use dumbbells for. So I start off at a heavy weight I can do for 12. Then I usually drop the weight by 2 to 4 kilos, do another 12, then drop it again by another 2, 4 kilos, and do another 12. And that's one set. And you do that for 2 sets. And by the end of it, your side delts will be fried, which is what you want, because that's the bit that's going to show when you take your top off, which will give you that sort of athletic look. From that, we go into dips. So you can either do weighted dips, body weight, or assisted, depending on what sort of level you're at with your fitness journey. I find dips probably one of the most underrated exercises, and I don't see many people doing them, but they work your chest, your triceps, and just creates that real thickness. So whatever level you're at, whether you're doing assisted, weighted, or body weight, go 2 sets to failure till you can't push yourself up anymore. By this point, if you don't feel like it's working with all the exercises you've done, you're doing something wrong. So going into the next exercise, we'll be doing a cable fly superset into a press. So you start off doing your normal cable flies for 12 to 15 reps, and then as soon as you finish them, go into your cable press. So that'll be it for the shoulders and the chest. So now we just finish up with 2 tricep exercises. One overhead extension, which you can either use a dumbbell or a cable. So go as heavy as you can on that for 10 to 12 reps for 2 sets. And then go to the cables and do a tricep push down with either the rope or the straight bar. That's it for my push workout. So now I'll be moving on to what I do for legs. So with legs, I do a legs A and a legs B, depending on what week it is. One will be more hamstring focused, and then the next week will be more quad focused. So as you see on screen, the more hamstring focused session, I start off with lying hamstring curls. Always a great way to warm the knees up as well before going into any compound exercises. So even if you're not doing a hamstring focused day, I say to anyone doing any leg session, always start off with a hamstring curl just to warm your knees up for when you're doing the leg presses, the hack squats, things like that. So going back to the hamstring focus session, we start off with the lying hamstring curl, warming up, do your warm up sets, and then hit your 2 sets of 8 to 10. And then following that, go into your RDLs. So you shouldn't be able to warm up, you should just be able to go straight into that. Maybe just do 1 set to feel the weight and then go into your heavy sets. From there, I have a glute bridge machine, so I use that. If not, you can do Bulgarian split squats, which also is good for your glutes. Just make sure your standing leg is out as far as you can and not in too close, otherwise you'll be working more of your quads. So I do that for another 2 sets of 8 to 10. Following that, I go into a straight leg press, and I do that for 12 to 15 reps. And this is the part of the workout that usually burns the most. So I do that, and then I go from that into a seated hamstring, which I do 4 sets of 12 to 15. But it's more or less not 4 sets, as in rest in between. I usually take a 15 seconds rest and then go into it again. So there's very little rest in between. So it's more like a cluster set. Following that, I always do some sort of calves at the end. Either I do calves on a leg press, pendulum, or if you have a calf raise machine, I always do 4 sets of 20, and then I do a 20-second hold, and then follow that with as many reps as I can. With the quad-based workout, I start off with the lion hamstring curl again. As I mentioned before, warms up the knees, and I just feel like personally it does it right for me, so that's the reason. Following that, and then I go into a pendulum squat. If you don't have a pendulum squat, then some form of leg press or hack squat. Following the pendulum squat, I then go into the hack squat of 1 set of 8 to 10 to get the strength training in, and then I do a 1 set of 12 to 15 just to tear those deep muscle fibers with the strength training and the heavy sets, and on the second set just hitting higher reps to shock the muscle in a different way. Following that, we got a single leg extensions machine at my gym, so I do 2 sets of 12 to 15 on that. And then if you don't have one of them, then just use a normal leg extensions, and then from that just go into normal leg extensions from 2 sets of 12 to 15. And after that, you shouldn't be able to bend your knees really, otherwise you'd fall over. But it's a good kind of pain. And then you can either add these in if you're feeling brave. I do anyway, because I'm a bit nutty. But I finish up with squats at the end. I don't put heavy weight on the bar, but I do enough. I can do 12 to 15 reps, just to sort of overall complete a leg session and really know I put the effort in at the end. And then at the end, I just finish up with the calves again of what I said last time, 4 sets of 20, following with a 20-second hold, and then as many reps as you can. Then on the Wednesday, you have a rest because you probably deserve one by then. Then we're back to it on Thursday with our pull session. I haven't added this in the plan, but I'd say before working out, then just literally just hang off a pull-up bar for 30 seconds because it stretches out your arms, your shoulders, your back, your chest, and really warms you up. So I recommend doing that before every session you do, and you'll see the benefits from it. So we start off with 3 sets of pull-ups till failure. Doesn't matter how many reps you can do. If you can't do any, then use your assisted pull-up machine. Following that, I do a T-bar row. If you don't have one of them, then I recommend just using any sort of row, just doing some sort of close grip. Doing that for 2 sets of 8 to 10. Going from that, I have a single arm pull down machine. But if you don't have one of them either, then just go into a lat pull down for 2 sets of 8 to 10, but use an underarm grip. And then following that, I do another single arm exercise, which is any sort of pull machine, but just doing that single arm for 2 sets of 8 to 10. The reason I do single arm is so I can focus on each side, just so I don't get one side stronger than the other, because no one wants that. Following that, I do a cable pullover for 12 to 15 reps, just to get a squeeze and to really feel the muscle for my muscle contraction. And then from that, I go into a Smith machine underarm row. So really this is a good finisher, just to sort of finish the back off. I do that underarm just because I feel it more in the back rather than overarm, but that's just a personal preference. Then we go into the rear delt cables for just 2 sets of 12 to 15, just to sort of complete that look with the shoulders and the back. It's a small muscle, but I find the small muscles are the most important, and especially the rear delts, because it gives you that 3D look in the shoulder and really gives you that definition in the back. After you've done that, that's back done with, and we move on to the biceps, which we are doing just straight bar curls. Then following that, going into hammer curls, just to work more of the outside of the bicep and the forearm. And that completes the Thursday pull session. Now moving on to the last session of the week, which I'm doing chest, but always add abs in and do a lacking body part that you feel you need to train twice a week. So I'll just briefly go through my chest session with you, because I mostly want to hit upper chest. So I do a dumbbell incline press, usually at a low angle. Then I move on to a high incline machine, which I have at my gym. And then I move on to a guillotine press, which is one of the highest points on the bench, just to really get that stretch at the bottom. And then moving on to that, I go on to a single arm fly, as again, just to really feel that squeeze. So this session is all about upper chest, really, and just getting that squeeze and contraction in. But I always start off with abs, so that's what I recommend. Otherwise, if you're like me, you'll come to the end of your session and then you'll just be so tired you won't get abs in. So I always start off with that just to get it out of the way. I always do lower abs, 4 sets of failure, and then we've got an ab machine. But if you don't, then sit ups will work just as well, just so you're hitting your lower and upper abs. And that's all you need, really. I don't really train obliques, for any of you that are sort of thinking, because I don't want my waist being too chunky. So I tend to just do the upper abs and lower abs just to keep my waist nice and tight so it gives off that V taper. Moving on to my diet plan, I'm doing till I go on holiday. So it's pretty straightforward. As you can see, I've listed all the grams and all my meals. It's literally only 4 meals a day and a snack. Starting off with oats, which takes me 5 minutes, so it's easy just to prepare and eat before I go to work. So that's quick and easy. And then following that, I make a meal the day before to have for my lunch. So it's either chicken rice broccoli or salmon rice and broccoli. Either one of them two, meal 2 or 3, and then I just have the other one for dinner. And then following that is my evening sort of meal. I have poached eggs on toast because I feel like that's the lightest meal out of all of them, so it sits well with me. And then I'd say probably about an hour or two before bed, I have my coconut Greek yogurt with cherries because it's light again, and it's just a nice sweet treat just to have before bed. If you've got that craving for a sweet tooth late at night, it's perfect for it. So what does mind over matter mean? It's not just a catchy phrase because it's got my name in it. It also has a meaning as well. That it's about consistency, and I'm doing these videos leading up to my holiday because I want to prove to myself that I can hold myself accountable for prepping meals and working out and sticking to a routine, which I've always been good at in the past, but sometimes I have tend to fall off, if I'm being honest, because I've had nothing to work towards ideally. But now, most importantly, I got you guys to do it for, just to prove to you or give you some motivation or confidence that you can do it. So it's more the mentality side I'm bringing to the table, which is probably the most important, because you got the physical fitness side and the mental side of things, and the physical side is literally only about 10% of it. The rest, the 90% of it, is what's going on outside the gym or outside the home workouts, which is the most important bit, and just not giving in to those bad habits of those sweet treats, really, or those snacks. I would like to say thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate the time you've taken out your day to watch it. Comment down below if you have any goals or anything you're working towards, or if you need any help with anything, and I'll be happy to help you. And subscribe for more if you want to follow me on my journey to Cape Verde.